Howdy, howdy, everybody. A little bit late. I was watching Mr. Ron Tyler on Emergency Management Associates, excuse me, and he just finished up a few minutes ago on his channel providing information regarding some supposed missile launches by the Russian Federation about over 300 miles off the coast of Southern California, which turns out to be actual re-entry of some of their outside of atmosphere rockets that have come in apparently. And Green Greggs and I were looking into that. Hello there, my friend Demon Cat Man. Thanks for being here, sir. I hope you're doing well. We're going to turn you blue. There's been a number of things on my mind that I really don't get to take time to cover and so forth in order to provide information, but also to get input back. Of course, I need to go live. I would rather be able to share a screen and show you stuff, but some of this wonderful technology is nothing more than fallen angel intelligence and rather problematic, pain in the derriere. I've got some things here with me I would like to help with preparedness and so forth, and kind of continue on with what Ron was showing on his channel and so forth. For those of you that were tuning into his, because he was covering, of course, seismic activities, any type of destabilization, and bug out stuff, and even mentioned gardening and so forth. And I've got playlists on a number of these different things, from the geopolitical stuff going on to gardening, foraging, and even lawful defense. Uh, and a lot of that information there comes directly from the channels of U.S. Law Shield, who is legal defense for lawful self-defense. Then I've got attack, evasion, and survival playlist together, which relates to some of these mostly peaceful protesters we have going on these college campuses and stuff like that. And a lot of what I want to touch on is right here in this book, and recommend some scripture for you, and maybe read through some of those with you. And you're got any input on the things I bring up, I'd be glad to touch on that as well. Hello, everybody coming in. Brian Parendy, thank you so much for being here. And Elton, my friends that are regular viewers of mine, I appreciate everyone with your comments. If it's nothing but emoji or your support and so forth, that's what keeps this channel going, because putting hours into something and getting 30-second views makes it a little bit frustrating. On the security side of things, please have 3 forms of everyday carry, and that's what it's called when you have defense items. I'm a mechanic and a trucker. I always got to carry a tool. I used to carry a folding knife, but when you're on your rear end and you've got to be able to open some food, it's kind of hard to dig in your pocket. So I started carrying on my sheath, and that wasn't so good either. So I carry a fixed blade knife like I show. That, which is smaller than your hand, so it's legal, but still over 2 inches, is one of the most recommended tools to take care of yourself if something occurs and you must do so. Plus, if it's nice broad blade, you can scoop up some food with it or whatever you got to do. Whittle some sticks and strike it against a rock and start a fire. Personally, I even carry a diamond dust sharpening stone so I can resharpen it. And apparently, I'm digging in the wrong pouch. It's somewhere else in there. That was a gift given to me that I put in that little pouch. If y'all could please share this video. I should have already started doing that. I haven't put it on the MeWe platform like I ought to have. And again, thanks for y'all jumping in here with me. I really appreciate you. For medical purposes, if you need to check on something, it's wise to have a small flashlight. This is going to get added to one of my medical kits that I will show you later. I carry a flashlight kind of similar to this one, but it's actually this one that you can see is all beat up. I prefer those without a strobe mode because when the strobe reflects off of things, personally, it causes a problem with my own vision. It causes a bit of distortion like it would cause to someone coming at me if they were trying to make a problem. And I use that thing all throughout the day because I've got to be able to inspect things on trucks and trailers, or if I'm turning wrenches or doing household work, it's almost always on me. If you're carrying those gas charged hole punches that project lead projectiles, please always carry a light with you so you can make absolutely certain you know what you're pulling your trigger on. If you have those kind of things, there are lights made to go on them. This one here has multiple stages and a strobe setting that doesn't hardly come on. The things can be about $200. See if I can, here we go. Right here, it's got a little laser setting that the battery got so weak because it mistakenly turned on. But I want to bring this up because even if all you have is a little red laser cat toy and you got somebody trying to make problems for you, if all of a sudden this is showing up on their clothing, maybe there's a chance they'll decide that somebody else is better well equipped than they are. On the other hand, if you know for a fact that somebody is carrying some form of firepower, don't try it. It might be a good way to get drawn down on and a hole punch through yourself. So just little thoughts, but pepper spray. I've never used one of these, but I keep one of these handy for the times that I can't carry my other tools and so forth. I recommend these little things to folks, but there's also a different type of pepper spray for the big old furry bears. Well, guess what? What if you got more than one little upright two-legged bear? What's your chance something of a larger stature that'll empty out in 30 seconds, but it'll also spray 30 feet will be helpful for you. I've started putting those in the vehicles within reach from the driver's seat. Think about stuff like that, please, folks, for yourselves. And if for some reason, I'm sure by now, hopefully, all of you have a basic little first aid kit. Personally, I used a little cheap plastic ammo can from Harbor Freight to expand my little first aid kits. I add providone iodine so that not only can you treat wounds with it, you can learn how many drops of that can treat a gallon of water to kill bacteria and stuff in there to make it potable. You still want to filter the water first. If you can, boil it and sterilize it. But what if you're in a situation it's too wet to start a fire, or if you cannot build a fire, because it'll expose your position when you're in some sort of destabilized situation, uh, or you just don't have time. If you can put, I believe, don't quote me, do your own research, but I think it's 4 to 8 drops of chlorine bleach or 4 to 8 drops of the providone iodine may take care of all that nasty stuff in your water. The bear spray you can easily find through Academy, and the Cabela's Bass Pro Shops. It I'm sure you can find it online to be able to order it to your home. Of those two locations, Academy is cheaper, but don't always have it. So, do what you can. Um, Please don't ever recommend using wasp spray. Something that can blind people can get you in prison. Okay. I used to take part in foolish inventions, things like that, until I learned more and had to ask people not to recommend such things anymore. As for the medical stuff, because of the kind of tools I carry, I've had an officer ask me, "Well, do you carry a tourniquet?" I said, "No, I don't have training to use it. I don't know how to use it." This is from Meditac. I had a cousin that works in the communications installation, and they have to have extensive medical kits available in case something occurs. I haven't even opened this. Here is a SWAT T tourniquet. They are, hello, come on, little, sorry, more affordable than the Cat 7 tourniquet, which is better, but costs quite a bit more. There's one of those right there in this. This is a whole bleeding control kit with instructions and so forth. It's got Israeli bandage. It's got the vented chest cavity bandages and so forth. This is none of the items you can find off your regular department store and pharmacy shelf. That's why I ordered this specific kit, because I've already gathered everything else over time. You can get just the refill. You can put it in a fanny pack, your backpack, whatever. Personally, I have a vest with plates to protect myself because I regularly go to the Rio Grande Valley and have to work in other areas that might not always be okay place to be. So this thing can get strapped across to the front straps on my kit or the back sides, wherever I want it, with my plates. It's got little straps, pouches, and stuff inside. It, of course, costs more with that. Get it either way you like. And in that playlist on my channel, I have, I'm pretty sure, one for emergency first aid for, trauma wounds. This here is called a trauma kit. It's not for your basic stuff. And thanks for all your support. All this information didn't just come to me. It's from watching channels that provide how to use this information. They're in the attack, survival, and evasion playlist and different stuff like that. I'm gradually learning just like the rest of you. So I appreciate your praise. Frankly, it don't come from me. If a grid goes down, or if our country goes into battle with something else, oh, great. Thank you very much for happening to see we're on here. Jason Avers, Green Country Agroforestry. Please put your channel link on here in the comments. NCWQ Explorer, please put your channel link in the comments so these folks can subscribe to your channel also for the good information you put. Jason Avers covers this topic a bit. He provides extensive gardening information and so forth. This is a book on herbal remedies with all your herbs and stuff, but this lady shows what ones are best to mix together to get better effects. For example, I've been taking turmeric for years and putting it in some of my cooking as well for years. But come to find out through her advertisements on YouTube and whatever, you can mix some black pepper with that and it works hundreds times better. I also have the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. I have additionally the Lost Ways books to help us learn how to do things that our ancestors did 100 years ago, which was just everyday normal living for them. Even for some city folks, because a lot of them still had a garden. You know, my great grandmother lived in town, and the very little bit I can remember, because that particular great grandmother passed when I was quite young, is that she had a garden, and I sat on the front porch playing with pill bugs or doodle bugs. My other great grandmother, who lived until she was almost 102, had a garden. And later on, when she didn't live there anymore, my daddy lived in the house a while and he raised a garden in the same spot that I helped him with. Green Greg's, a friend of some of us, please be sure to look up to his channel as well as Swivelhead News and his other channels. He provides excellent information. He's one of the two of us I mentioned earlier. We're looking into these supposed rocket launches by the Russian Federation military, which actually is the re-entering of some space junk of theirs going on. As for the defense stuff and the possibilities of things going on, please be fully aware of what can occur to our electric grid, because in all of our modern societies, therefore most all Western civilization throughout the Americas and Europe, we rely 99% on electricity. What powers electricity? Uranium in the nuclear power plants, coal, natural gas backed up by diesel fuel, hydropower from dams built on rivers, and the hydrothermal, where they punch into the geothermal caverns above the magma chambers of volcanoes. Well, we have administration that supports the globalist idealisms and the false narrative. What did I say? Climate that's supposedly going on and trying to get to 0% CO2, which is carbon dioxide. Have some more there at you. Carbon dioxide that comes out of all of us, which the only way to reach zero emissions CO2 is for every last one of you and I and every other human being on earth to have already fully decayed. Only way to have zero CO2 out of human beings. So please help spread that message. Help the youth and the elderly folks and everyone in between realize the facts. Thank you, Jason, for Greg's channel. You're welcome to also put Uncommon News 777 in there. Doug is unavailable this evening, otherwise he'd be moderating and tuning in also. And he provides uncommon news, stuff that most of us are not going to see on YouTube, mainstream media, or their news articles or anything. He keeps looking through other countries' information and so forth. And Arnold, thank you for tuning in from Canada. I'm going to try to touch on some stuff for your area also. Uh, on the electric grid stuff, it's not just vulnerable to wind and rain and hurricanes and this and that, as finally a number more channels are covering. It's vulnerable to electromagnetic pulse. This EMP, coronal mass ejection, CME, it can come from an event. For example, a small grade uranium based nuclear warhead air blast a couple miles up in the atmosphere that will spread out a minimum of 100-mile radius and knock out everything electronic beneath that. Electric grids, electronic engine vehicles, all this different stuff that I, Greg, and many others have covered. I have electric power grid playlist on this channel that covers every bit of that. Then separately, I have an electric power grid, backup electricity playlist that I have compiled together of all forms I have come across of different ways for your own backup electricity, including showing my personal two forms of that on a low budget. One is a cheap solar kit with a little box that you can plug your phone stuff into, and then cord goes over to hook to car batteries or whatever. It's a lot cheaper than these so-called solar generators. A solar generator is the panel itself, not the box you use in your house that has a lithium ion or some other gel cell or something battery inside and a power inverter inside it also. You can individually purchase your solar panels and your power inverter like I did. And in between them, I have extra batteries for my 2001 Dodge Ram 3500. They're about 850 cold cranking amp batteries. So I have, with full sunlight on that solar panels that are only 100-watt output, those batteries have managed to power my refrigerator, my upright freezer, and a dinky tiny little deep freeze for nearly 6 hours because there's not enough input charging those batteries. But it's a way to have backup for someone. Ron, thank you so much for being able to tune in. Also, I hope you got to grab a bite to eat. Emergency Management Associates, one of you, please be sure to put in Ron's channel, and you'll be able to also in just a moment, if you like, for others that are my longtime subscribers or from other channels and so forth tuning in. Our U.S. Congress has been pushed by power grid defense organizations, some of which Greg Allison has chaired the events on over the last 10 years. And instead of taking care of our citizens, they have taken money from lobbyists, and the lobbyists for the electric providers have spent more money to pay U.S. Congress to do nothing to regulate them than what it would have taken to actually upgrade and secure the grid to make it less vulnerable to a number of things. I'm going to be more on what to do if it goes down here, because that ties into electric grids, hurricanes, tsunamis, Los Angeles, tsunamis, East Coast, where we have nuclear powered submarines carrying those uranium powered and expelling things that can cause a tsunami. That's exactly what they're built for. More info from Green Gregs. the things that we can do, as Ron was showing on Emergency Management Associates earlier, is be prepared to evacuate. Have all our bug out kits ready. Have easy to carry foods and long lasting foods. If you can't afford stuff like is available through prepwithgreg.com to get a great discount on 3 months supply of My Patriot Supply food, you can still go through the same link and see what they have other deals on. I've gotten those in the past, but it's predominantly carbohydrates. It's pasta, oatmeal, pancake mix, stuff like that. You can't sustain on that. You've got to be able to hunt and fish your own food and know how to process it properly and cook it or have it available. Something. Places like that have protein packs available. Personally, I don't get something that's got black beans. I've got pinto beans like crazy, and I don't cook them enough because I don't know how to make them real good. But the pinto beans, the rice, and the legumes, the peas, they're much cheaper and they're dried. Take the bags, cram them in an empty peanut jar or something. You can get 3 of them in a big peanut jar or 2 of them in a little smaller peanut butter jar. Stuff like that. You don't have to buy a lot of stuff in order to prepare yourself. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you feel like you can't afford to have extra food at all, not even a few weeks worth, look around you and see what kind of electronics that somebody else wants and advertise them through Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Take them to the pawn shop. There's somebody who does not care to be prepared, is more concerned about entertainment, will gladly snatch it up. You know, stock, if you can afford it, invest into precious metals, including brass, copper, and lead, because you can't have all your stuff if you can't defend it. Have your affordable or long lasting stuff, but don't goof like me. Don't just store it in something sealed. Beans, rice, all that, flour, cornmeal, freeze it first. Few days minimum, preferably over a week. Freeze it, store it in something sealed. Don't do like me and buy a vacuum packer and the vacuum bags and all that good still sealed up in the original box behind me. Doesn't help. If you can, take time to take care of stuff. Yes, sir. Salt and pepper. Salt can be used to cured meats. It can be used to dry out hides if you get stuck not only getting your own food, but trying to make your own darn shoes and clothing. You know, chickpea. Yes, thank you so much. That's why I was hoping all you would be in here, because I know you can all bring more information together. So for anybody that ends up watching this later on, make sure you turn on the live chat for the replay so you can see all this excellent information that everybody puts. Because I know each and every one of you has a little bit you can add to the conversation. Aluminum up to 25 cents here from 21 pennies. Interesting. Oh, and as for the precious metals that are going up in value, for those that can't afford to invest into something and consider junk silver is more affordable. A while back, 1940s and later quarters that have a percentage of silver still, they don't have on the outer edge, you can't see a line of copper in there. Those were worth about $5. So go through your chains, make sure you don't spend that older stuff that is either fully copper pennies or partial silver coins, your silver dollars and so forth. They have a higher value than the face value. Don't ever let somebody expect you to use those at cash value on them, because you're taking a big stick up the derriere. I'm just going to put it bluntly. the derriere, the stinky cows that you milk. um, y'all got me cracking up here. But there is so much that you can do for yourselves. If you got to bug out, hopefully you can bug out with a vehicle. My solar panel thing I mentioned, to protect it because it's cheap from hail, tree branches, or whatever, I took a 1/2 inch hardware cloth. That's the galvanized wire that's used for rabbit cages, chicken cages. Stuff comes in a roll. I took some of that. I built a wood frame to go on the outside, staple that wire on there, and all kind of stuff to beat on it. No damage. I can take that thing and strap it down to the roof of my Suburban. If I got a bug out somewhere, I clean it off and run the cable down to the battery of the Suburban. Take the inverter out of the back, and if I got enough battery power, I can actually operate a little 1,000-watt microwave. For those of you that like your microwave meals, or the issue of not being able to start a fire for assortment of reasons, like I mentioned earlier. I often keep an inverter in each of my vehicles. My Dodge with the 2 batteries and the diesel engine, I work out of it a lot on the weekends. I've got a 6,000-watt peak inverter, so it can do 3,500 to 4,000 watts. It's got 3 110-volt outlets like your regular wall outlets. And I have run 75 feet of 12-gauge heavy-duty electric cord from it into a building that had no power, and spent hours cutting out lumber. I've used the same tool, a Milwaukee reciprocating saw, off of a dinky little power inverter off the battery with the and keep the engine idling. Don't kill your battery, but off the little 4.3 liter V6 in a little Blazer I had uh, several years ago, cutting brush with it so I wouldn't destroy a chainsaw getting it down in the dirt on a fence line. And because if I already had a pole saw, it was one given to me, it didn't run. There's so much that you can do for yourself. Jason with Green Country Agroforestry and Greg will remind you, have hand tools. In your vehicle, where I carry all this stuff with me, under my seat is a claw hammer. I can bump my tires. If I get a nail in there, in a tire, I can pull the nail. I can use it for whatever. I can drive a stake to hold a tarp for a lean-to off the side of the vehicle or off of a tree. Keep some kind of emergency tarp with you. At least garbage bags. You can punch holes in it and turn it into a poncho to hold heat or repel water. Try to make sure to have some sort of shade. Always have some kind of hat that'll also cover your ears, even if it's a little cheap cotton or polyester vented junky thing like I work outside with, instead of my straw hat, to keep the shade over your head too, for your body, not just for the heat, but the cold. Keep the sun off. Make sure you can keep water off yourself, no matter where you are. Doug Thompson on Uncommon News 777 recommends always carry like a little plastic bag with you. If you go out hiking somewhere, but you expect it to be a short walk, carry a clean, potable water capable carrying bag in your pocket. Ziploc bag, or maybe a good used bread bag with no holes in it. Always have a mug with you or something. If you have a plastic water bottle and you're carrying it, for one, don't be a jerk and throw it on the ground to trash somebody's place up, or the sunlight shine through it or reflect off of it to start a fire. But also, at some point, maybe you can find some water. With the plastic bottles, the sunlight shining through them for hours on some non potable water, the UV coming through that plastic will take part in making it potable. Do your own research on how long and all that. Refer to others, please. But that's something that can work. Glass doesn't work that way. That's part of the reason a lot of glass is tinted colors. Your Coke bottles, they're darker. Your other bottles are even darker. It's to keep the sunlight out so it doesn't deteriorate what's inside. That's why your canning jars, you keep them in a cool, dark place. You don't put them somewhere where there's sunlight. If you're carrying a case of water in the vehicle that you bought, don't let the sun shine through the windows directly onto it. The intense heat in the cab plus that light shining on it, the plastic will break down sometimes over a weekend, but definitely within weeks, and can contaminate your water. If you open it up, it stinks like the plastic. You might want to water a tree with it, or wash your windshield. If you don't have a choice, cancer isn't going to get you anywhere near as fast as dehydration. Feed a tree. Yeah. Well, yeah, drink the water and then go behind the tree and feed it, Brian. Oh, we're not talking. We might get to that point too for those that try to bug out in a vehicle. There's lots of ways that you can stay hidden in your vehicle and still take care of your personal business. Go to the privy, the dunny, whichever you want to call it. That's why I hoped you would all be here and could all contribute, because you keep me going, and I can help provide information for others instead of sitting here trying to remember what was in my head 15 minutes ago. On the water stuff, you can make your own filters with sand, grass, and charcoal. And I don't mean charcoal from the store, especially if it's already got lighter fluid in it. I don't want to drink that crap. No, don't do that. The charred wood when you burn. Green Greg's, and that is in one of my playlists for water purification and sanitization. So even if you get to where you got no water left in a container somewhere, consider keeping it with you. It's lighter. You're not carrying as much weight. All the preps I carry in this Freightliner that I drive, I've got a backpack with luggage wheels on it and a handle, and I'd have to have another pack strapped on top of it and drag it and this and that on my shoulder. So if I truly do get stranded 250 miles from home and have to get back to the region where my friends and family are to help take care of them, I want to be picking and choosing which of these items that I'm bringing to attention that I'm actually going to take with me. I'm going to be opening my big toolbox full of tools for breakdown, and I'm going to be taking out my vice grip that should have a wire cutter down in it and a wire cutter possibly. Can do lots of stuff with those things. I do not recommend cutting people's fence to get away from situations. I don't recommend it. That's a good way to get one of these lasers pointed at your chest, if you understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Because if you go releasing people's livestock like all these aliens keep doing all across our southern border states, you're going to upset somebody. If you must do it to get a handicapped person through a fence, to get away from a situation, and to get a shorter path, fix it. If something breaks, fix it. If you tear up your own stuff, fix it. So why not fix somebody else's? Simple as that. You know, what does scripture tell you? Treat others as you wish to be treated through Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Simple as that. You know, if you carry zip ties in your vehicles, you can use them. If you got to secure somebody, use two of them, one on each wrist, not just a single one. That's too easy to get out. Don't have the cheapest crap available from Wally World, though. You know, cotton rope you can use in the oil that comes in your canned tuna. Drain it out afterwards. If you can't buy oil for your lanterns or this and that, and can't buy a bunch of candles and stuff to make sure you got backup light in your home or wherever, you know, yeah, I keep batteries. Try to keep rechargeable batteries so you can use them over and over. Yeah, charger costs more money. I've been using the same charger for over 10 years, I think. I guarantee over 6 years. Rechargeable batteries and all these different little lights. The ones that use 4 AAA and slide in and out to cover more distance are the best. You can pinpoint on something so you know exactly what it is. But also, if you got to draw a bead on that before it gets you, keep stuff like that in mind when you go to buy things. There's all kind of advertisements all over the internet. Oh, military, this and that, light, the tactical. These, let me see. Yeah, both of these. The two I showed you with the little bitty pocket light, these come from the same place as this other one. Tractor Supply Company. Whatever brand they carry. I can't read them on there. That's where they come from. They're pretty cheap. The two together were probably cheaper than this one, even though I've had this one a few years. It was in their clearance bin or something. Harbor Freight. They've got a lot of junk. They've actually got a lot of good stuff too. That's where a lot of my junk comes from, the solar stuff, the power inverters. If it's not something you're using every single day, it's a much more affordable way to get things. You can spend a couple or a few $100s instead of a couple or a few thousand. So many people are on a tight budget, they're on a fixed income, they're disabled, elderly, they're relying on Medicaid and this and that our government is trying to make sure there's no Medicaid because they steal from it in order to support their personal agendas. And I'm guessing other countries do the same darn thing. There's ways to get your necessities affordably. You don't have to do what everybody else does. In other videos, I'm pretty sure I've recommended affordable ways to protect your body. I guarantee one of them is where I cut up a plate to make smaller plates. It's my shield and bucklers video, not the one specifically showing Jeremiah 46:3. Order ye the shield and buckler. Draw near unto battle. I received this scripture during prayer on whether or not I should be trying to put a little money into precious metals before the value goes up and before the what do we call these greenback things over here? If I can find this nice little wallet I got at a family reunion. These before these are worth less than toilet tissue and are good for starting fire with. Invest into your necessities, please, folks. Have plenty of this around. Don't just rely on the plastic stuff that doesn't work when there's no internet because a satellite got destroyed by a solar event or by some foreign country or some local event occurs. Arnold, just buy the cheapest one so you don't hate yourself for losing it. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Guess what? I finally started buying some cups that work better. Yes, Wally World stuff. But if I break all the plastic off because I'm rough on things, I still got a metal cup to use, unlike the junky plastic ones that I have destroyed because of acting foolish. But, you know, don't always buy the very cheapest. Look around a little bit. You know, this little thing, it was the very cheapest. So it's bulky. It's not going to fit on my hip so good. But if I must use it, it's handy. I can put it in place, and so I'm not doing things two-handed. Always keep a light, even if it's a little dinky one in your purse or pocket or where we at? How bright is that anyway? Holy, kind of bright in the glass there. We have a bucket's worth of cheap flashlights and knives, party favors for the late arriving guests. Good point. And please don't ever tell anyone, not even you closest family and friends, all your preps. But please inform others how to prep. Send them videos on these better channels that are in my playlist. Like some of our friends here in chat. There is so much that you can do. And Stray Kitten, just I think Brian probably touched on fire. Fire, fire, fire. Yes. Always be prepared. 2 fire extinguishers in your vehicle. I had 3 in that Freightliner, but one of them showed empty, so I had to take another one out of the box and put it in the holder beside the seat. In my personal vehicles, pickup has one inside the toolbox that stays locked. And when we couldn't get it fast enough, when the brakes caught on fire because 8-point whitetail buck ripped the park brake cable, yanked it so hard that it busted the hydraulic brake wheel cylinder and spewed brake fluid all over the brake. So I went to slow down and something's glowing back there. Now there is a fire extinguisher directly beside the driver's seat. It don't fit like that in the Suburban. Okay, so it's directly beside the passenger seat in the very next door. And there was already one in the very back by the hatch in the rear, mounted so I can get to them. Keep stuff like that in mind. The thing I showed earlier that somebody might have missed, the bear spray, over here by my left hand, that I don't know which way it looks in this stupid camera, is actually a little holster where you can carry it on your hip. I bet you can clip that sucker somewhere in your car if you don't have a door pocket or something it'll fit in. I bet it'll clip on the strap of your backpack if you go hiking or got to bug out, but don't wear a belt. Don't want it hanging off your waistband of your elastic or something. There's so much you can do for your necessities. Please continue to inform others. We have increased solar activity that most people have absolutely no idea on. That's one of the main things I wanted to touch on this evening. And on that note, I will again recommend my friend in British Columbia, Brian Gunderson, on geomagnetic Earthwatch. He was already studying into grand solar minimum before I ever heard about it. And he's been studying deeply into the solar events and the effects of solar flares. And most people are worried about the electric grid, the satellites, the radio communications, stuff like that, that can be affected. Guess what? A lot of you have seen the videos of the ants and the lions and all the different creatures going in circles like, what the hell's the matter with them? They're schizo. Woo! They overdid swivel heading, you know. Their eyes were too wide open. This is in part from magnetic pole excursion throwing off their navigation. It's also related to, excuse me, not doing that on purpose. Nothing squirrely illuminated related going on here. Solar flares, solar tsunamis, and solar radio bursts don't just affect animals, they affect fish, birds, sea mammals, all our furry friends, and predators, and everything else, and livestock. They affect you and I. I won't go deep into it. Please go to Brian's channel. He needs support. Thankfully, his channel is growing much faster than mine. YouTube is keeping me at 655 to 656. They must think it's my favorite number. They're wrong. The number for Jehovah God is 888. And it was my favorite number before I ever found that out by several years. It affects physical health, the heart, cardiac system, and so forth, neurological, mental health. So watch out for not only others, but your own depression and aggression. So for those of yourselves in defense situations, please be aware some of these people may be out of their mind because of solar events, especially if you already know that Earth is being impacted by a solar flare. If you already know that they're Looney Tunes, maybe it's not. And I mean of aggressive sort of people. But aggression and the depression can go to full-blown deep depression and trying to be aggressive to their own self, if you understand what I'm talking about. This video is not restricted from youth. So that's why I am trying to use what words. Plus, some of you are quite likely to maybe have your children with you. If Brian would, excuse me, if Doug Thompson was available, he'd have his toddlers probably in the background. Physical and mental health. For folks going to be flying, please pay attention to that. So, Tamitha, not Tabitha, but Tamitha Skov, or Skov, Skov. She's a space weather woman. Wages World, I recommend those two also. Our friend Ron Tyler on Emergency Management Associates is now covering more of the solar events. So does Green Greg's, and sometimes on his Galactic Greg's channel also, depending on what's the situation. But his Green Greg's is for prepping. Swivelhead News is more of the geopolitical stuff that I will be working towards as long as you people stick with me or I can stay awake. Some of this solar stuff comes out of here. There are scriptures referring to wormwood. A lot of those are referring to the wood that will turn the waters bitter so they can't be drunk. Now, there is some people that Wage recommends that I personally do not. I have seen a lot of mixed up information coming out of them. Before I go further with the binary star system, I've had a lot of people try to recommend me to suspicious observers. Ben Davidson. I will tell you about that one in a moment. Some of us here used to not only watch and support on Dutch Sense, but NCWQ Explorer helped. And some of our friends here are in agreement not to discuss him or his channel. I am tired and fed up as much is my dear friend Brian Gunderson is on Geomagnetic Earthwatch, as well as Bella Virgo, and it's time to call out these cons. Dutch has done some excellent work in the past on earthquake forecasting because of the work of Rebecca and Bella, who spent 6 months putting together the Rebella depth to magnitude conversion chart that he used to use to show the depth and magnitude of the deep earthquakes in order to forecast the higher magnitude shallow earthquakes that tens of thousands of people now know how to do. He calls it the Dutch sense method. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, wait a second, who actually came up with that message? Was it Michael Janik? Or was it the three of them plus Optics Girl and Miss Sue Arrows, who put the arrows on the earthquake 3D globe for him? Those folks have the answers to that. When people have a private conversation through their own paid subscriptions that the content creator is not paying for their subscriptions for them to moderate his channel for him, and he expects them to give their Twitch private conversation to them. And even after the person who started the conversation explains to him that she had been in a major accident and was destabilized by it, and still pushes them out and makes outlandish, ridiculous claims about them that are false, pushes them out, acts stupid about them, he can suck a freaking rotten egg. But what hacks me off recently, he doesn't know jack squat about radar. He doesn't know jack squat about lasers. Florida Maquis had to disprove his claims about weather tracking stations shooting lasers to produce a damn storm years ago. Like I said, he's good at one thing. Past that, I don't think he knows jack squat, but at least he's honest enough to admit publicly that he has no scientific training, no college training or anything, just like I don't either. He at least will do that. And these other people I'm going to bring up are the reason I mention that. Okay? But, you know, when somebody helps build your channel and you push them out for not giving you their private information, private conversation, that is horse fertilizer. I'm calling bullshit. Okay? That's wrong. And to go around claiming, oh, you're the only one reporting on this and that and the other, again, not true. To go claiming that there are arsonists, teams of foreign military terrorists setting fires across 20 kilometers in a strip 21 kilometer wide simultaneously, and yet manage to get out with their lives. It would take thousands of people at once to do this. Thousands. Brian did the math. Again, complete false information. And no, it was not some of these little green lasers 100 times larger either. There was deep magma movement showing up on hotspots across Canada days before, just like the ones that were seen at Lahaina, Maui, and the other Hawaiian islands that also had fires within the days after those hotspots were seen. If these people are telling you this kind of horse fertilizer, please consider avoiding them. at the very least, take it with a cup full of salt instead of teaspoon. Please. Next person. I'm going to get past Mr. Dutch Sense. If you need somebody for earthquake forecasting only, maybe you want to listen to him. I can't deal with an egomaniac. I deal with them minimum 12 hours a day, most days out on the road. Aggressive lunatics. I don't have time to do that through the internet. I don't have the patience. My patience has to be held for my household and staying safe on the road, which is very difficult. You see that in my short video, so I'll leave that alone. Mr. Ben Davidson, suspicious observers. When I first learned about grand solar minimum, it was from the channel belonging to Jake and Maury Lee Riley of GSM Grand Solar Minimum. Thankfully, I come into touch with much better people through their Facebook because they turned out to be typical stuck-up, selfish New Yorkers. And I spent my hard-earned money on hoodies and stickers to help them when they were in a bind and needed to prevent losing a family property. Stickers are still on my vehicles. They provide a statement that'll hopefully enlighten people that don't know their A-hole from their B-hole. It's the sun, stupid. It's not us changing the climate. Not by any means. The teeny tiny little fraction of a percentage that is done by human beings, that is agreed to by some scientists, but not to the extent that the liars in the media and politicians claim. It's not a 97% consensus. Go to Heartland Institute. Go to my climate realism playlist for the facts. Their other channel is Stopping Socialism. They have lots of websites. I've provided them in posts throughout YouTube, Facebook, MeWe. I'm not going to try to put them in the comments. They, every Thursday and Friday, starting at noon Central, they provide that information. Check it out. Share it. Join in the chat. I watch a lot of this stuff by only listening to it because I'm always working. Let's learn together. Keep learning, please. Grand Solar Minimum, I supported them. And Mr. Ben Davidson was on Suspicious Observers, trash talking people making money off of Grand Solar Minimum. He was trying to claim it wasn't happening and wasn't coming yet. These other people on that channel and some others were making money off of YouTube. They were monetized, providing information on what was seen and provided. And they interviewed Valentina Sarkova, one of the most prominent physicists, astrophysicist, who studies the plasma physics and provided information. They interviewed her. She wouldn't interview on Ben's channel because she'd already looked into what he does on his channel. He just wanted to argue with her. She don't have time for that. She's seeking information to help people and to provide to these government agencies that are providing the opposite, providing things that are not true. Just like Willie Soon and my acquaintance, Dr. Roy W. Spencer. Heartland Institute, my acquaintance, Anthony Watts. Watts, up with that, W-A-T-T-S, up with that, is his website. Great folks. And H. Sterling Burnett, good people. These people are all providing the facts. And people like Ben Davidson want to dispute the actual facts that the real scientists found. I will tell you what he did at that time I'm referring to. Like I said, he was claiming these people are making money. Well, guess who else was making money off the same thing? He's a flipping hypocrite. He was telling everybody, oh, they're over there trying to make money off of claiming grand solar minimum's happening. He's trying to make money off of claiming it's not happening and trying to sell stuff. What's he done in the past 2 years? Been trying to get people to buy into a ranch he's buying for a bug out ranch with only utilities and so forth for himself. People have looked into it. One of my friends was so upset. Miss Wendy Hardnack is not available tonight. She actually gets to have a date night with her husband, even though the poor lady's finally starting to move stuff into their house that's been years being built because their previous home burned down, along as their entire farm and all their fruit orchards where they provide produce for their area. Hardnack Farms and Mrs. Hardnack Farms. If you can, Jason, would you please consider dropping her links? Great lady. One of her friends or somebody's husband watches Ben and was actually thinking about trying to buy into his bug out location instead of working with his own community and his own family and neighbors. When he's got friends like Wendy Hardnack that have a farm where he could be getting his butt over there, like I'm going to recommend to everybody, go to your farmers markets, get to know these people. If you live close to them, find out if they need some help, or the other farmers and ranchers around you. See if they need help now, not when you need help. See if they need help now. Tell them, I want to learn. A lot of the places can't do apprenticeship because trying to teach somebody from scratch takes them away from their work. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Go introduce yourself. I used to buy from the local farmers market. I haven't recently, in part because I'm struggling to grow my own because I'm trying to get past the learning curve while we still have stores, while we still have this fake money. Please try to do that for yourselves. Not only has Ben doing that nonsense recently, but he's another one claiming that fires are starting from arsonists when they are natural events. He's another one trying to sell stuff to people. I don't know if he pushes that EMP shield that is made for about $20 to $30 and they sell it for hundreds. So please look up EMP Doctor on YouTube, and his website is disasterpreparer.com. Dr. Arthur Bradley is a friend of Gregory Allison, our friend, the electrical engineer rocket scientist. Dr. Arthur Bradley is also an electrical engineer. He tests all that stuff. And EMP Shield has a lawsuit, a defamation lawsuit against him for showing the truth about their junk products that all these prepping channels are selling and making a big percentage off of. Greg won't be an associate with them, even though he could actually make money and help himself live off of it. They're able to provide such a large percentage of their proceeds because they make it so cheap. It's not going to protect your home. I showed what will twice on my home, and it's tested and recommended by Dr. Arthur Bradley. It is the Siemens CEIMENS FS 140. It's tied into my breaker panel with two 50 amp breakers, one for each leg. that is meant to direct surges back through that and out into your ground source outside your breaker box in the dirt. But if your old homes and structures only have a single ground pole in the ground, oftentimes what will happen when a surge from lightning that gets past a transformer and doesn't blow it out if it's on your side or something, or surge from EMP or something, comes through your wires, drops down through your meter, through your main breakers into that box, it'll surge through the house. This thing should direct it out to ground instead of heating up all those copper wires throughout your home, heating up the insulation and catching it on fire, so you end up with all your preps, all your valuables, maybe yourselves, gone. FS 140, when I bought it, may have been about 140 bucks. I don't remember. I bought two because I have two separate circuits. Power water wells and old rotten falling down garage and stuff. And I finally bought a one. Finally, I will do another little short video to try to show the back. Please don't buy junk. And frankly, the FS 140 is about the same price or a little bit more probably than the junk. I'm not going to repeat the name too much because if they try to sue me for defamation, I got nothing for them to get. They can go behind the tree and water it, like one of us said earlier. There is good stuff available. Please, in short videos, I have shown Dr. Arthur Bradley's website. That stuff is in my electric power grid playlist. It's probably in my EMP playlist, which is a little short playlist. It's not hundreds of videos. Arnold, what's up, my friend? What's going on today, folks? I'm not watching all your stuff because I'm talking to you. Yes, my friends will defend each other, and frankly, we can all be friends here. So, and also, Arnold, as I mentioned, is Canadian. He's not quite like us rednecks down here in the South or even the northern part of the South. So, again, please take things with a tablespoon of salt there instead of a teaspoon, but you don't need a cup. Y'all please work that out. Arnold and Elton here are the two people that almost always watch my videos and drop a comment and so forth. They're two of the people that keep this channel on YouTube. I'm gonna shove past the very suspicious observer. Please direct people away from them, and anybody on my channel, please don't. It's a sore subject. This is my personal experience with these people. Other people cover what they've covered. For example, like I said, Geomagnetic Earthwatch and Bella Virgo have been exposing more nonsense of theirs. On Dutch Sense, years ago, oh, please excuse the chainsaws in the background. I got my crew here that works for me and my crew that we do this tree trimming business. They're having to work here today, and while he has his new bug out Hummer out in his yard that he has showed his subscribers, and guess who paid for that damn Hummer? His subscribers, his super chatters. In my personal opinion, okay? What's a chance he had one of those logging competition videos going on in the background? please don't fall to cons and frauds. There's great people here in this chat and other great friends that have put themselves into helping others. Our friend Ron has had someone helping his channel and him, okay? Sore subject. I mention it because I want you folks to know there are better people available. And I've mentioned them and they're in my playlist. These other people are not. There's another one that I'm unfamiliar with, but I got to bring up what Brian has brought up while I'm on the topic, and that's Maverick Star Observatory. He doesn't have an observatory. He's not a scientist. He doesn't have any degrees in science. He has some sort of recent little document that he took some sort of course that he has shown. Brian exposed all that. If you really want to support him, do a background check on him and his roommates in the halfway house in UK. Please. His muon detector that nobody can get because it costs 250,000 pounds in the UK. Brian contacted the manufacturer of the muon detector and brought this to his attention and asked him the specifics of what it actually takes to make. The manufacturer that sells that thing from affordable price, 100 something bucks or something, American dollars, explained to Brian that he has done elementary school classes, gone in class and showed the elementary school children how to put these things together, and they all put one together in the classroom. Please stay away from the frauds, especially when those same three people go cussing at their viewers or telling you last Christmas, Mr. Maverick Star, that, oh, well, God's going to curse you if you don't donate to me. Excuse me, that's blasphemy, if anything is. That's not only blasphemy, that is true using God's name in vain. That is his personal vanity. That's what it means. The curse words, that's not the strongest thing referred to in the Ten Commandments. It's actually vanity, claiming that we did something that our Creator did, claiming that we do it all ourselves or that we can. When our provider, Yahweh, Jehovah God, is the one that gives us the body, the hands, the knowledge, the tools, and his written word. Yeah. Come on, folks, please. We're trying to provide valuable information. And like Stray Kitten said, do not get this like Lee Wilbarger's KLW World News. No. Don't do it. Anybody treat subscribers and other viewers like his moderators do, just leave. Just leave. Please. I paid to be in his network to take part in contributing, but also to get the valuable information. And I would use that valuable information throughout platforms in order to help others. And it did help me, and they appreciated it. At the very same time, I had his moderators that hadn't been with him anywhere near as long as I have, trying to tell me what to do. Excuse me? You can also go behind a tree to relieve yourself. No, my boss doesn't tell me what to do. He lets me know what needs done. You know who tells me what to do? My Heavenly Father and His Son Yeshua. Please, folks, don't make this chat look like that bullcrap over there. We can all work together and we can all get to know each other, because this little chat session is tiny to most of the other folks that I watch. And frankly, all those other folks on those channels, they need the information too. That's why I'm putting my time into it, because this stuff has been on my mind throughout months. I come acquainted with Lee Wilbarger 2018 after I got interested in the Kilauea eruption at Hawaii. And that just happened to bring up that GSM channel. And Mr. Riley learned from Lee Wilbarger. Most of what he knew at that time about GSM was from Lee Wilbarger. He's an intelligent man. He's an inventor. Down inside, he's a good person. I won't recommend his channel anymore. He's a hothead. And even though we all think he thinks that he only provides the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, he has called me when I let a friend in a Eastern country know that actually, no, he doesn't have all the facts. He called me on the phone to complain about it. And I let him know about some other situation that I wasn't happy with, and he hung up on me. We're all different people. We all come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences. We've been through different life events that may have affected our bodies and our brains and so forth. He's someone that for a long while he had to relearn to talk because of severe heat stroke. It wasn't a regular, it was a heat stroke was so bad he had to relearn to talk. But in Facebook, in their group, if somebody posted a link with a question, he would comment BS. Wouldn't tell why. Well, in a much better Grand Solar Minimum and Magnetic Reversal Forum Facebook group that I used to help moderate after helping provide information and on how to better set up the group and so forth, thanks to my education from NCWQ Explorer, helping me set up my group and help with hers. Lee was also in that, and he actually put BS and provided an explanation why he thought that particular post was BS. So I thanked him. And his response, I don't care what you think about me. I don't need your things. That's fine. I don't give a flip what you think about me either. And not giving a dang about each other's opinion of each other is how we became acquainted and become friends. And somewhere in one of these old junky phones, I've still got his phone number. And if I see something that's going to badly affect him that maybe nobody else is going to tell him, I'm going to let him know. If I really need to ask a question, I may call and ask him. You know, we don't have to agree with people to still get along with them on some things. We're never going to agree with everybody. It's impossible. I guarantee not a one of you is ever going to always agree with me. I guarantee it. Because I know me. These different people all have their different quirks. Some of them are just outright conning people. Some of them are providing something good, but they're scaring people in order to get them to take part in that so they can use the income from that good platform they set up. And that sets off some people and decide no longer to be friends with them. I can understand that too. There's good ways to handle things and bad, and we all do them both. I guarantee I've done a lot of bad ways. Thankfully, not so much through social media, but I'm a trucker. I got a trucker mouth. Huh, that ain't squat. I've got a mechanic's mouth. I make up words. We still got to take a breath and learn. And this falls back to these solar events. We can't let ourselves overload ourselves. We can't let others. And if anybody has any type of mental illnesses or disabilities, um, ADHD, it can cause a little problem. Autism. These solar events can cause autistic people to go into fits of rage. Yes, sir, Arnold. That one I can agree with you with. Your last comment, I absolutely can agree. You know, we don't always have to be so blunt in dealing with people as some people do, even if we don't agree with them. Um, there's a chance that our sun is not only going into solar maximum, gradually getting there within the next year or two, maybe. It's definitely more active, but a lot of these flares, coronal mass ejection, which is something different, that's actual particles being ejected. That's why it's called coronal mass. It is charged particles coming off the sun. Also, the radio, I forget the word I used earlier that Miss Scope uses. There's a chance that a binary star is causing these events because of coming closer. For years, we've had some people mention Nibiru or Planeta X that you can't hardly say on any social media because you're liable to get your video deleted. We may be in a trinary star system, but there is Carlos Ferrada, a Chilean astronomer, studied what he named Hercolubus for 50 years. This thing that supposedly don't exist, he studied it for 50 years from Chile. And Mr. Barack Obama, yeah, that dude, when he was president, him and a bunch of other leaders were all met or went different times. I think they all met on Antarctica. And that was before this climate narrative expanded so much and all this different stuff. And they started talking about the rising sea levels and the weather changes and this and that and the other. Guess what? They were informed about something that you and I weren't. But that other people already heard about back in the 1980s with a letter across it, that Planeta Hercolubus. Wormwood. Guess what? They weren't the first ones to hear about it. Wormwood, Hercolubus. Personally, I think maybe this Nibiru actually is a planet orbiting Wormwood. But from the rest of this, we're going to call it Sal. That's what Brian calls it because our sun is Sol, S-O-L. That's why it's called a solar system and solar eclipse and so on and so forth. That star, he calls it Sal. As I just mention, we may be in a trinary star system instead of binary. Look back to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics that may be from earlier than Egypt. You really think them little Egyptians moved them 100,000-ton blocks? Come on. Come on, really? On wood pole rollers and up sand ramps? Really? Maybe they were the ones that done the engravings. Anyway, there may be three stars. It appears there is one coming closer to us, directly affecting our sun and our earth, causing ocean inundation. The sea levels aren't rising. Oh, they're going to rise so much. And what was it? In 2000? Oh, all the snow's going to be gone by 2020. Al Gore, it's 2024, dude. Come on. One of the what's it, Glacier National Park, after 2020 they had finally got smart and took down the sign that saying the glacier was going to be gone by 2020. A little bit slow, aren't you, dudes? Are they in the same organization as USBS that poor Ron has to call out on a daily basis for not providing the facts? You can't even fully rely on EMSC, the European agency, or the smaller agencies. You got to go to every single one. That's why I sent numerous links to Greg Allison for his Green Greg's videos when he shows USGS. There's like 5 earthquakes across the whole North America. Yeah. BS. Please learn what you can about this. I have a Hercolubus, Sal, whatnot, Wormwood playlist on my channel with a couple channels on it so that people can find them easier. You don't have to go searching yourself, because there is a Spanish channel that shows stuff. Some of it I think is actually planets in alignment that are reflecting the sun. I don't think it is Hercolubus. A lot of the same thing a lot of people been showing all over Earth. I don't think it's another star. Either it's the moon reflecting during the daylight and they don't realize, hey, it's always been there every few days, because they don't ever look up. They're too busy in their screen. They're hiding inside from real life. I don't know. But still, it's worth seeing some of that to get more idea. It's in Spanish, but maybe some of you understand it better than I do. I haven't spoke Spanish in years hardly, or German. But there's more than what we're being told, is my point. I want to refer, like I mentioned earlier, Jeremiah 46:3. Order ye the shield and buckler. A buckler is actually a small shield. In some of the newer versions, it says small and large shield. Some of them says your shield and spear. The spear is wrong. It's large and small shield. The buckler I put on the video cover when I showed that. It's a small handheld spear used in jousting. You've got your sword in one hand and the buckler in the other. Psalm 91. Pray that on a daily basis. You can't learn it, read it, or just pray, hey, Heavenly Father, please grant Psalm 91 protection over me, my household, and my community, whatever. Our Heavenly Father and His Word are our shield and buckler. But we still are quite likely to need the physical ones. Learn what you can do about that. It's all kind of stuff. I don't put these playlists together just for me to go back and watch them again. It helps me, or if I want to share one particular thing, they're for every single person that watches my channel. They're for everybody else. And they don't profit me in any way. My channel's not monetized, and I don't put together playlists of only my videos. Some of them kind of are the wildlife videos, little pets, you know, old Buddy Bunny in his yellow vest, taking part in the yellow vest protest in France, right here from Central Texas. You know, if something gives me a kick and I think it might somebody else, I'll take a little video so help y'all enjoy. There is so much that we need to learn and work together, and there's much more, and including something I heard yesterday that I really need to touch on, that we need to please refer back to Luke and Mark and the other scriptures. I'm not going to dig through this evening. It's getting late, especially for me and some others of you that are in an earlier time zone. During Jesus' life, and especially at the time of crucifixion, there were as many as 4 ladies by the name of Mary there. I need to remind that Mary of Magdala is the woman who possessed the demons. And Christ asked the demon, "What are you called?" "Legion, because we are many." Poor woman was carrying thousands of demons. She's the one that had went on her own to visit Jesus' grave in early morning when it was still dark, and didn't realize who spoke to her, that it was an angel. Then there was Jesus Christ's mother, Mary of Nazareth, the virgin, blessed by Jehovah God. I don't remember which channel and which minister mentioned there were 2 other Marys that evening. Rebecca, you have a blessed night. Take care. I'm going to try to catch up with your emails through your buy me a coffee deal. I noticed but didn't get to read that. Please check out Rebecca's channel. Many in her family are going through rough times. Her channel will explain what she prefers to explain to the public. And she's much more public than I am. My personal life, don't bother asking. I've got to keep security for everybody around me, because of all those people in South America that say they want to remove my scalp and all this and that, and accuse me of being racist, even though not only one of my dearest friends happens to be a person whose daughter and granddaughters call him the black man instead of by name or grandpa or something. But I work for the other black man. He's better off than I am. But he still don't have a black card. We're nowhere near being wealthy. Please look out for your neighbors, like Doug always recommends on Common News 777. But cover your six. Help your neighbors. Look out for your neighbors and your community, but watch closely enough to know who you can trust. Get in touch, like I mentioned earlier, farmers and ranchers and different workers, mechanics, welders, this and that. If you don't have money, can you cook? Are you a good cook? I see you leaving, dadgummit. Are you a good cook? Offer to cook that mechanic a meal. If you're not a good cook, still there's always something you can do to help somebody else. Can you help me fix this? Maybe I can help you clean something up. Or maybe I can buy something and throw it in the oven and let it cook. And, you know, we can help one another. There is Greg Allison set up, he started survival tribes and a survival tribe network. And he was receiving emails for that. And he was receiving emails for Freedom Restoration Foundation that I should have mentioned an hour ago. Our website is behind because the great, wonderful gentleman who was updating passed away over a year ago. And sadly, it may have been related to the fact that they were unaware of the possibilities of the Pokes causing problem because they didn't come in acquainted with us until afterwards. But anyway, freedomrestorationfoundation.org, survivaltribenetwork.com. Links are somewhere in my stuff. Through that, they're no longer setting up survival tribes. What Wise Owl did is spend a bunch of her own money to pay somebody to design a website that you can use to get in touch with other people near you. Use pen name or something, CB handle like I do here. So that you can meet in some public place and see if you're comfortable with folks and set up your own survival tribe networks. I have friends and family all throughout Central Texas and over much of the state, and then other friends and family further out. The friends I might not ever meet. I hope I might. Arnold and Brian in Canada. Yeah, I'm not going to make it that far. I don't even cross the state line of Texas, even though I'm wanting to help Greg Allison move. My boss can't drive anymore. Maybe he'll be able to. I don't know. He's my substitute driver. Vacation? Huh. Yeah, right. There is ways, just like you're doing in the chat with people through the different social media. You bump into good people that are similar, stay in touch with them. Your local communities is the best thing. But like Ron mentioned, have places to go. Have your 3 different bug out rats. 3 forms of everyday carry to defend yourself. Light, a taser, pepper spray, a blade. Your wits, your bad attitude, those aren't always sufficient. There's way to do things. And I'm going to end with the 3s of survival. You can only survive 3 minutes without air. Wait, that's 3. 3 minutes without air. 3 days without water. But I forgot the second one. In severe inclement weather, only 3 hours without shelter. That's extreme heat and sunlight with no shelter. But predominantly severe cold, especially if you get wet. It can be 80 degrees and you can get hypothermia if you get rained on and can't get warm and dry. So keep what I mentioned earlier, at least the stinking trash bags or something to stay dry. That can hold heat in. I've seen some survival channel where the dude, all he could find was a trash bag. And he's the kind of dude that goes barefoot in shorts all the time and a little muscle shirt. Well, it gets cold at night in the woods. So he couldn't get a fire in the bag and kind of got in a hollow on the side of a cliff. And once in a while, he'd get up, move around, build up the heat. There is so much that can be done to survive cold. Number 3 is the 3 days without hydration, without water. 3 weeks without food. One that some claim is 3 months without physical human contact. Make friends with a wild animal. I don't know. Have a pet if you got a bug out. Some people have a pet goat that carries a pack, carry part of their gear, and they have their dogs, and they go out hiking with a goat and a couple dogs, and everybody's got their pack with their own food and water and this and that, plus gear for camping and staying warm. If it's cold enough, even the stinking goats in the tent. There is so much that can be done. Don't go close your darn garage door and get in the car and run it to get warm. People in Texas died. Garage door electric won't open. Okay, reach up in the top and disconnect the stupid thing and jam something underneath enough to let air come in and out. Jam something through the side of the track to keep somebody lifting it up, open and getting in your home or your garage, if that's what you have to do. Please use common sense. Don't run generators in your house. Don't use dinky little 16 gauge cords that are only meant to run a nightlight to try to run a refrigerator, an air conditioner, or a microwave. Your normal cords aren't even sufficient. The 14 gauge. You really need 12 gauge cords if you got to do something like that. And there's lots of people providing good information for that kind of stuff. There is no reason to perish from lack of knowledge. The word. I'm going to touch on this in 2 different ways. First, the word tells us that his children will lose their way, lose their lives and their souls from the lack of knowledge. Not only biblical word, which this is actually a guidebook. It's not just a history book, it's a guidebook. A lot of the things that the Israelites were told not to eat and not to do was for their health. They can't eat pork. Pork's waller in the mud and they get parasites. The Apache, I don't know about now, but back when my ancestors came here in the 1840s and 50s, the Apache, all the way through the early 1900s, would not eat hogs or frogs because they wallered in the mud, down in the parasites. Well, there's a way to get rid of the parasites. You got to know that. If you got to harvest and process your own food, learn. Don't just start cutting on something. Learn what to do and cook the tar out of it till it's almost burnt. This medium rare crap, it's not healthy, especially with the kind of critters that get down and dirty. Simple stuff like that. You know, there's a way to keep ticks and this and that off and stuff that can cause Lyme disease that can destabilize a body and make it so a person can't eat meat anymore, can't get enough protein. There's so much that can be learned. Those of you that aren't content creators, you can still help others learn. Share the videos. Those of you that are, hopefully I've brought up things that'll help. You know, there's some great people that have been in this chat that can provide you so much. So help others learn. From a selfish point, why do I try to help others learn and inform others? Hey, do this to prep for yourself. Because they're not going to be beating on my door or trying to beat through it, so many. Because I can only prepare enough for my own household. I got extra hand tools, shovels, hoes, rakes, saws, axes. Oh, you need help? Okay, here's a tool. Help me grow it, harvest it, and preserve it. I got canning jars. I got firewood. Let's get to boiling. Even if you're in the city, you can grow food in an apartment under fluorescent or LED lights in a closet, in a windowsill. It's a huge learning curve, but I bet some of you can do it better in an apartment than I'm doing in my yard and in my field because of lack of time. And because the sun through the weak magnetosphere harming the plants. I haven't rolled out my old sheet from the side of the carport for a screen over the potato plants that shockingly are actually growing. And this comes from potatoes out of the grocery store. I didn't go buy seed potatoes. So we'll see what happens. Then, yeah, like Arnold said, microgreens. Density of calories and needed in the microgreens. You got to have thousands of seeds instead of hundreds, but also you can learn how to harvest seeds. Let some of the plants fully grow, harvest the seeds. Hardneck Farms, Wendy does that. She sent me seeds as a gift. Envelope with some packages of seeds. I haven't tried any of those yet because I have older ones. She does that for some of her friends to help others, especially if, like her neighbors, if you're growing the same stuff and it's a good quality, if your neighbors are growing the same thing, the bees and other critters are going to be pollinating good quality plants with your good quality plants. So you're all going to have a better crop. One of the most productive farmers in one area does that. He provides seeds for his neighbors. So when the pollinators fly through, his crop keeps a good crop. Yep, Green Greg's microgreens. I don't know if he sold his microgreens trailer yet. I recommended he use it for a moving trailer. If I had time, I'd be fixing my moving trailer to help him. I'm going to have to use it for storage to clear out rooms of the house to fix them, fix the floor, rip out sheetrock and put in insulation. Old house has no insulation in the walls, had a thin layer in the attic. Oh, I fixed that in a hurry. I got done rewiring, put a second layer of better insulation up there. I think I'm exaggerating here. It's like 3 to 4 inches thick instead of just 2 to 3. So if you own your own home, you're trying to save electricity, trying to save energy, stay warm when there's no electricity. Not only do you need backup resources that I show, like I mentioned in playlist, backup electric grid playlist, stuff like that. There's also one for alternative heat. All kind of weird little ways people make their own little wood heaters and wood grills, and just the most amazing stuff is all over this crummy YouTube platform. I put second layer of insulation in the attic, and my electric bill dropped in the winter and the summer because there's more than twice as much insulation above my head as what there was before. And I even goofed up and stuffed it too far to the edge of the roof, so it's only ventilating through the center of the roof up at the very top ridge and not out at the eaves as much as it's supposed to. I crammed the insulation too far out, so it kind of blocked the airflow some. It's supposed to come in the bottom and out the top to exhaust the heat better. But on the other hand, it may be helping with the cold in the winter. I don't know. R60 insulation is the best way to save money, especially if the power fails. That might be what I used. R60 is what Arnold mentioned. I've thought about buying the thin sheets of it's kind of a fiberglass styrofoam mix or something, insulation with the shiny stuff on the outside, and just sticking against the walls in the north of the house on the inside, and then putting more sheetrock over that, because even the sheetrock is only like 5/16 or thick instead of 3/8 inch thick. It's I stumble against the wall or smack it trying to hit a light switch or something, and I wind up busting it and having to jury rig patch it. But it's a home. It needs a whole lot. I'm constantly fighting with the appraisal district on over evaluating it and stuff. But it's a home. It was a low enough mortgage that if I lose work, I think I can still pay it by selling stuff and doing side jobs. When you go in to invest into stuff, please keep things like that in mind. There's so many people that promised a long-term job and good pay and this and that and the other, and now they're squalling with General Motors and they're mad at Jack Wagon Joe and everything and Tesla, and they're out of work. And a lot of these people working for Tesla over here by Austin, Texas, aren't Texans. They all moved in here to worse overpopulate Travis County and surrounding others and bring in their progressive idealisms and political BS to try to further screw up our state, pushing this green energy BS that is not green. I've covered that and other. I won't bore you with it, but it's fraudulent. It's good to have multiple resources, but that's fraudulent. And fossil fuels don't come from fossils. You can thank Rockefeller for that BS and paying scientists to provide fraud. These people are out of work. Moved here, got a mortgage, and no job. Now they're squalling. Just like all these people, oh, I went through college, I went through university, and I got all my education, but there's no job for this. Why didn't you look into whether or not there was a job for that major before you took that major in some stupid Marxist communist BS that Islamic countries are funding the universities to push that on you because they like the Marxist communist idealism for a country that they don't like, Qatar. I think Saudi Arabia is funding some of them, and possibly Iran also. I'm pretty sure I heard Iran. So get your education on something that you can do. Please promote that to all the youth. If they want to join the military, if they're Texans, tell them to join Texas military. Not even the National Guard, Texas military. Jack Wagon Joe has absolutely no control over our Texas military that has been set up by Governor Greg Abbott, that all these ignoramus, progressive, destructive people want to get rid of, just like they're trying to do with Attorney General Ken Paxton. I'm not real fond of the assistant attorney general or lieutenant or whatever because of some of his BS of trying to blame the Rona bug freaking out and blaming the Fauci flu spreading on my black friends. You know, those people that don't match this color any more than I match this one as a so-called white person. Dan Patrick, but that's the only squirrely thing I've seen him do, though. Ken Paxton has many suits against Washington, D.C. for their absolutely unconstitutional acts. If you've got people in your states that are actually trying to do what they should be doing, please inform your neighbors. It's kind of like the president number 45. There is so much that that man promised and accomplished. And the most of it, public doesn't know. Up until the last year, I didn't know either. A lot of it. Because I hadn't come across the right people to listen to. Did he accomplish everything he promised? No. But I guarantee Jack Wagon Joe is accomplishing what he promised, and that was the cutback of fossil fuels, crude oil, and natural gas. You stop building a pipeline to come out of Canada with our neighbors like Arnold up there. We're telling the oil companies to drill. We're telling the oil companies to get more oil, natural gas. At the same time, the administration is telling you this through the bobbleheads in their offices, a bunch of flipping dingbats, paid frauds, that what they're actually doing is blocking leases. Blocking new leases and blocking old existing leases and blocking drilling permits. Having a lease on a land doesn't do squat if you can't punch a hole in it. And yes, all those perforations in the Earth's crust make weak points that release seismic pressure. That's why South Texas has a region that gets 2 to 3 magnitude earthquakes on a regular basis. Maybe that's good because the Balcones Fault in Austin isn't releasing and moving and knocking down skyscrapers. And they're also releasing pressure throughout Oklahoma and Nebraska. New Madrid is building up pressure there, but not extensive pressure. No major release yet. San Francisco's still standing because of the Baldwin Hills being punched full of holes for oil over decades. So, folks in the UK, I hope you heard that. You all want to stop the fracking because it causes minor earthquakes, but on the other hand, you might end up with a major one anyway. And you were reliant, just like Germany, reliant on what oil pipeline? The one from Russia that belonged to Russia that who blew up both of them? I'm not supposed to talk about that. But it has something to do with the Washington District of Columbia. The evidence is available. How do you do, ma'am? Glad to see you. You might want to catch up again tomorrow. I hope your family that is on vacation is quite enjoying it and staying safe and well. Any of y'all folks, this dear Miss Mindy Thompson has an excellent son who happens to be a board member of Freedom Restoration Foundation and a bit of an inventor himself. And also, if you need items for protecting the body, go to darn it, I can't remember his eBay, but the link is in my video where I cut up the steel plate for making the bucklers out of the shield. It's there. You can get, I don't have one handy, a nice little pouch that works with the same thing as these, and you can put 3 magazines in it. Well, if you don't carry New York Times and what have you magazines in your pouch in case you got to squat behind a tree, or these other kind of magazines that you carry for personal protection, in those, they're excellent for pliers and screwdrivers and stuff. So if you got to work around the house, he sells 5 of the things for $25 plus shipping. So about $30, you can get 5 of them. You got gifts for 4 people if you only need one. I had to buy another set because I ended up needing more for more gifts and for myself. No, Sir Arnold, that's Mama Thompson. Don't make her mad. She'll whip up on him first. I don't want to tell everybody's family links, but I just wanted to recognize you here and uh, everybody play nice. Like I said, we can all get along. Thank you all for trying to work out your whatevers. I didn't even read it. I'm not going to try. You know, we can, if something is misunderstood, comes across the wrong way, we can attempt a different way to say it, or just agree to disagree. Simple as that. You know, we don't even have to. Oop, wrong hand. This is confusing. This stupid thing shows me the other side. That thing over there, yeah, that right there. We don't have to, all live under the same thing neither. And you know what? This is where our pledge is supposed to be. The Torah, the Jewish Torah, is the Old Testament. I want to get it in English and Hebrew. I don't have time to learn now, but someday I might. And the Quran, there's a good gentleman researcher who wants everybody, he's a Christian, but he wants everybody to know the actual truth of what it states in Arabic. Has provided a translation that's not a watered down and version in English of the Quran, and I would like to get a copy of that if I can, in order to use that to learn what's there to help others learn the differences, not only within their own text, but with the Christian scriptures, because there's a lot of misleading stuff. And it causes a lot of the problems that are going on in the Middle East right now. And those people aren't only against those of us and those that are in Israel or of the Jewish faith. They don't like Christians either because we're all people of the book. On the other hand, they in some ways have more respect for people of the book than people who are complete non-believers or like consider themselves atheists or whatever. It depends on their mood probably or how deep they are into the faith, but I want to remind there's great people everywhere. Every country, state, province, community, village, Mexican ejido, that's a little village. There are good-hearted people everywhere. Ron was in the chat with some of them with me and a friend of mine in UK. The moderators for the Mediterranean and Gran Canaria earthquake warning group that is no longer on Facebook, they're still in touch. And they're all around the Mediterranean. So it's not just the folks in Europe and in Greece, in Israel. It's Algeria, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and other countries around there, all working together with science, with seismic activity, and doing much earlier forecasting than Mr. Dutch Sense and a number of other people, using somewhat planetary alignments, but firstly, solar activity for forecasting of earthquakes, working together for the well-being and the good of everybody in that region around them, no matter what their idealisms, what their faith, what their religion. And all those good people, frankly, they treat me better than most Americans, especially these people up and down the highways in Texas. Here we might, if we're got courtesy, we call each other sir and ma'am. Those gentlemen, not only the ladies, but the gentlemen call me dear. Like, huh? I'm not used to that. You know, everybody anywhere can work together and we can help each other learn no matter what we think. And yes, it's a spiritual battle, not so much between people. And scripture told us it will not be man that you are battling against. It is a spiritual war. All of us, including those that are against us of Jewish or Christian ideals, all of us are under attack by demonic forces. That's why I say your shield and buckler. Psalms 35, Psalms 91, Psalms 144, Ephesians 1, 2, and 6. Please, on YouTube you can some. I prefer Rumble for some of the channels that I will again mention. Julie Green Ministries, Modern Prophetess. Amanda Grace, Ark of Grace Ministries. She does also have a YouTube channel. And His Glory TV used to be on YouTube. I'm not sure if they still have. They've got a great Rumble channel. They've got 24/7 videos going, where some of them are replays of old videos with information. Julie Green is every Wednesday at 11 Central for their Take 5. I put a timer in the phone because they cover the prophecies that have already been fulfilled. Your buffering may be local, as far as I know, I'm fine. I had a new antenna pole put on the roof because the wind busted the guy wire on the 50-foot pole standing on the 10-foot high garage roof and broke that sucker. So we went about a week or more without Wi-Fi. Had to use phone for hotspot to try to get anything done. The other one, Flyover Conservatives. It sounds like it's just a conservative channel. It's not. It's predominantly Christian channel. Wednesdays at 11 Central, viewing fulfilled prophecies that have been found throughout the week, every week. Definitely worth watching. They provide other channels on their channels. They interview great people with precious metals and with investments and this and that, all kind of stuff. Also, on YouTube, Bo Polny, Bopolny. Trying to remember the name of the channel. It's some of his videos are in my monetary systems playlist. That's something you want to see. He's not at all a prophet. He studies prophecies, he studies scripture, and he studies economic trends over the last century. He not only is predicting economic trends, he predicted the October 7th strike in Israel because October 6th was the 50-year jubilee of the Yom Kippur War. If that kind of stuff is of interest, it's a good person to follow. And he actually goes on other channels like with the Rich Dad Show or whatever it's called. That's an excellent person. His trading knowledge he gives to us freely. There's some other people that are heavy in crypto and this and that. I'm subscribed to their channels. I don't watch much. If it relies on internet, it relies on electronics, if it relies on electricity, how can you get it and use it if those three things aren't available. Yeah, you may have your crypto wallet and you maybe can use it through your phone or whatever, but how can you get them? Have this fiat currency that's becoming worthless, have your coins, and have your precious metals, or more importantly, just have your necessities and have extra necessities to barter and barter your labor. Um, I think I shared it, but Doug Thompson produced a barter ledger. You can write up your own, but to help people, he made one. He put stuff on a certain type of website deal with health and herbal type stuff information that you can go to it, download it, print it out. He made up a barter ledger so you can keep up with bartering and stuff if you got to do that. But you can take a little notebook. Like, well, I lost track of mine. It's in my carry bag with all my junk and janitor keys for all the trucks and personal stuff. We can all work together so easily if we just learn how. There is just so much that can be done. So I thank you. Um, and if you'll bear with me a moment, for all of you watching this evening, every single person that has been watched this video and has taken part in this chat, everybody that watches and every one of my subscribers, my home, my household, my friends, my family, my community, and my state, that I will not let go haywire blue if I can help it. Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. Fowler, the snare, that's how they catch the foot of a bird, put a snare up in a tree. Just dawned on me recently. But also Satan, the fowler, entrapment. Okay. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Fauci flu? Bird flu? He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His trust shall be thy shield and buckler. Jeremiah 46:3. Not just the physical, but the spiritual shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor the arrow that flieth by day, whether it is an actual arrow or a gas charged lead projectile, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. There we go again with the pestilences, whether it's in the day or the night, man made or natural, man engineered to cross multiple different species, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. They may all fall around you by their own hand or whatever else. Keep your faith nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. That's referring to Haman's reward, because Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. If he knew Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him, then everybody following Mordecai wouldn't. So Mr. Adolf Hitler, the Austrian, trying to wipe out all those people, do the same. What was his reward? He had a gallows built. What all was going on because of his queen, Esther, who was in the family of Mordecai. Well, he got a snug necktie. We'll put it in redneck terms. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. What was the reward of the wicked in Egypt? In the land of Goshen, the Israelites didn't receive all the 10 plagues. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. You may want to print this and post it on your door like I keep wanting to do. It may work as worked in the book of Exodus, the Passover with the blood of the Lamb. Yeshua, Jesus Christ, is our blood of the Lamb. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Dash thy foot against a stone. And read it proper, it makes more sense. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. I'm thinking that'll probably cover the red dragon in Eastern Europe and the red dragon on the shield of the prince who just became king, who also has a unicorn white horse on his shield. They are not good people. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and shew him my salvation. Make him my salvation. Yahweh, Jehovah God. In scripture that doesn't try to translate things and mix it up, not only the Jehovah's Witnesses word, but in Holy Bible, a number of the old ones, it includes Jehovah or Jehovah, which is the translation, just like Jehovah in Latin, the translation from Yahweh, which others say Yahweh, and then you have, I believe that's from early Hebrew. Then others claim it is Yahuwah. That may be from Aramaic, or it may be from early. I don't know. I don't have time to research it. They say, oh no, it's not Yahweh and Yeshua, it's Yahuwah and Yahusha. It's our Heavenly Father, creator of this earth, this solar system, this universe. And a lot of people have been led astray. God, that's kind of broad term. That's what you wish to use. Hey, go for it. You know, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are as one. You need all three. You can gain the Holy Spirit through the word of Yahweh. And the blood of Yeshua. And when you are directly attacked by demons, as shown, interviewed by a lady. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. A great lady and somewhat of a prophet who has been directly in the spiritual battle for decades. Interviewed on uh, Flyover Conservatives. Say the blood. You don't even have to say the blood of Jesus. When you know it's spiritual attack, when it's the demons coming at you, say the blood. When somebody wants to come at you and tell you this and that, if you know it is, say it's in the word. It's the word. All you got to do. Because guess what? The demons know it. Satan knows it. Hey, hello. Okay. Over the last however long, Mr. Green Craigs, we've been talking about you. If you would, please drop some of your links in the chat. Jason did earlier, but Green Country Agroforestry probably has to get up early. It's 10:16 here, and I need to get up at 5:30, so it's not going to be a full night rest like I need on Friday and Saturday. And I'm keeping the neighbors awake over here. But I'm glad I was at least long enough for Green Gregs to drop in. I imagine you've been busy like usual. Folks, if you're unfamiliar with his channels, please subscribe and try to keep up. He's got a family on his channels just like Ron does on Emergency Management Associates. They all look out for each other and just great folks. Arnold is one of them, as he mentioned. And through Greg and through Rainbow Food Rocks is one of our Freedom Restoration Foundation board members also. Our other channel is Rainbow Healing and Wellness. She is Greg's board member that brought me into Freedom Restoration Foundation. And her channel was on cooking and natural stuff and wellness and this and that. Excellent videos. I don't keep up with the flip because I've gotten drawn from the geological into the geopolitical. Some really good people. Gail Angeles on the Rainbow Food Rocks is one of the people that took part in the Stop the Steal rallies, and her friends were under direct assault because of standing up for our right to choose who leads us. There is some good, strong folks. And if you would, for everybody in this chat and all these other great people, your friends, family, and neighbors, I read this as a prayer for all of you. Please consider doing it for yourselves and everybody around you as well. You've all been a blessing to me, and I thank you for that. I wish blessings upon each and every one of you. I ask you to please, as I frequently do, please be a blessing to others. It doesn't take much. A big old goofy grin. A hello. Hey, how's your day? I had a friend years ago mention something to me, gentleman I mentioned earlier. I thought maybe he was referring to me after I thought about it. Ooh, yeah, I didn't really even think about it. He said, I've got this friend. He calls me up every so often, and he's asking for help with this. He's asking for advice with that. He's help me with this. Can you do that? But never does he just call me up and say, hey, Norman, how you doing? I said, oh, man. If that's not a hint, I don't know what. I'm going to pass on that hint to you. Thankfully, he was referring to somebody else. And even though I don't hardly help the man, I'm constantly nagging him for advice or little bits of help if he's available, just like I do with family and other friends. But I remind him, hey, you need something, ask. Can't make any promises other than that I'll try. You need somebody to talk to, call me. I'm just bouncing down the road anyway. I might need some help to stay lively. Helps me stay safer. Consider that with others. I've got a new Iran playlist that you might like to see that video. I'm going to add one to it about some of the lifestyle that's very Western in that country, but the other one is not going along with the idealisms from Muhammad and explaining stuff. The Israel Palestine playlist, I started with ancient history and worked till recent. In the most recent videos, one is a gentleman roughly my age that is a son of a founder of Hamas. There's at least 3 interviews and debates with him in there. And he tells it like it is, what he lived through, how his own family and community treated him. And he was the son of the founder of Hamas. He loves his father and his family, but he's not associated with him. And then there is an Islam, Quran, and Muhammad playlist that is based on the learning and teachings of that. And that goes to what I referred earlier of an English version of the Quran that is not watered down, and it's a more direct translation is what I'm getting at. It tells how it really is, because early in the Quran there was a lot of tolerance and peaceful direction by the people who wrote it 200 years later after his death. But there is latter scriptures that say, okay, this is what you do now, and this supersedes earlier text. It throws out the tolerism that a lot of people claim is within that belief system and faith. And thankfully, there are millions of good Muslim folks, including those friends of mine I mentioned earlier, that work together as scientists, no matter what our other beliefs are, in order for the good of the people throughout all around the Mediterranean and the Grand Canaria. So just like Green Greg says, there's good folks everywhere. Let's work together with them, learn from them, help them learn, be a blessing to one another, keep learning what's coming at us and how to deal with it. Don't have fear. Fear is an evil thing. It is pushed on us on purpose. That's what the psychological operations are for. It's to gain control, whether it's from directly demonic or from demonized people. And the trained psychological operators in media and politics that were trained through military and government agencies. It's not a coincidence that they're so good at lying to the public. They're trained in it. So, hug your neighbor, shake the hand. Just don't spit in your hand first unless that's your custom. Oh, thank you all. And everybody who shares this and actually bothers to watch it a different day. I hope this brings knowledge to folks. That's why I drug all this stuff out and went through and so forth. to help people get ideas. I've got much shorter videos all throughout of my own and in the playlist. And like I said, I've got an attack, evasion, and survival playlist. And some of those are specifically for Christian churches. There's a channel, Christian Warrior Training, I believe it is. Ex-law enforcement officer, that's what his channel is based on. Get those videos and send them to your congregations. Bring them to your ministers, your deacons, whatever. Same for your Jewish synagogues. Always have situational awareness. Green Greg's. Eyes wide open and head on a swivel. Just don't sling your head off. Don't open your mind so far it gets full of garbage. But be open enough to learn. May Yahweh bless you all in the name of Yeshua, HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, the Messiah.